On the night of February 9, 2004, a 21-year-old nursing student named Maura Murray crashed her car on a dark, snowy road in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. A local bus driver stopped and spoke to her. She was alone and shaken, but she was alive. Yet when police arrived just minutes later, the car was there and Maura Murray was gone. No credible sightings, no contact with friends or family, and for over 2 decades, no real answers. She had emailed her professors about a death in the family, a death that never happened, packed her car and driven towards the mountains. So what happened in those crucial minutes on that desolate road? Let's reconstruct the chilling timeline and explore the baffling clues she left behind in the peculiar case of Maura Murray. To figure out what might have happened that night, you first have to understand who Maura was. On the surface, she was a picture of success. A bright, talented athlete from Massachusetts. She'd even been accepted into the prestigious United States Military Academy at West Point. But her time there was cut short. After an incident involving stolen makeup, she left West Point and transferred to the University of Massachusetts Amherst to study nursing. To her family, she was the fun-loving jokester, the youngest of 4 who had to be quick-witted to keep up. She was thoughtful and kind, and her decision to become a nurse seemed like a perfect fit. But in the weeks leading up to her disappearance, it seems Maura was a young woman in turmoil. Just days before she vanished on a Thursday night at her campus security job, a phone call left her deeply shaken. Her supervisor later described finding her in a quasi-catatonic state, just repeating the words, "My sister." The call had been with her older sister Kathleen, who was struggling with addiction. 2 nights later, her father, Fred Murray, was visiting. Maura borrowed his brand new Toyota Corolla for a party, and in the early morning hours she crashed it, causing thousands in damage. Her father said she was shaken but not distraught, and that insurance would handle it. Still, it was another heavy weight in a string of difficult days. The hours before Maura vanished are a sequence of puzzling choices. On Monday, February 9, 2004, she sat down and emailed her nursing professors, writing that there had been a death in her family and she'd be gone for a week. It was a lie. There was no death. Her sister, Julie Murray, now believes it was just an excuse to get away and clear her head without anyone asking questions. That afternoon, Maura's actions grew even more specific. She started packing a bag, but what she took is just as curious as what she left behind. She packed textbooks, birth control pills, and accident report forms from the recent crash. She left most of her clothes and her expensive winter jacket. It's still debated whether she had fully packed up her room to leave for good, or if she simply hadn't finished unpacking from a recent dorm change. At 3:40 p.m., surveillance cameras captured the last known images of Maura. She was alone at an ATM where she withdrew $280, almost everything in her account. She then went to a liquor store and bought about $40 worth of alcohol, including Bailey's, Kahlua, vodka, and a box of Franzia wine. Again, security footage showed she was alone. Sometime after 4 p.m., she got into her black 1996 Saturn and just drove north. Her exact destination is still a mystery. Her computer search history showed she'd looked up directions to the Berkshires and Burlington, Vermont. She had also called a condo owner in Bartlett, New Hampshire, a place her family used to vacation. At 4:37 p.m., she checked her voicemail. It was the last time her cell phone was ever used. Route 112, also called the Wild Ammonoosuc Road, is a lonely, winding road that cuts right through the White Mountain National Forest. It's dark and desolate in winter, with huge stretches of bad or non-existent cell service. It was here, around 7:27 p.m., that a local woman named Faith Westman heard a loud thump outside and called 911 to report a single-car accident. A few minutes later, a school bus driver named Butch Atwood was heading home when he saw Maura's black Saturn spun out and stuck in a snowbank. He pulled over and asked the young woman, who he identified as Maura, if she needed help. She seemed cold and was shivering, but she refused his offer to call the police, claiming she'd already called for roadside assistance, something Atwood knew was unlikely given the total lack of cell service. Feeling that something wasn't right, he drove the 100 yards to his home and called the police himself. His call was logged at 7:43 p.m. At 7:46 p.m., the first police officer arrived on scene. It had been less than 20 minutes since the first 911 call, and probably only 5 to 7 minutes since Butch Atwood had left her. But Maura Murray was gone. The scene itself just created more questions. The car was reportedly locked, though some accounts of this differ. Her cell phone and credit cards were gone, but her backpack and the alcohol she'd just bought was still inside. A box of red wine had leaked on the back seat, and police noted a red substance on the driver's side door. A rag was stuffed into the tailpipe, a detail that has been endlessly debated. Was it an old trick to store a car or something Maura did herself as a signal? Most strangely, there were no clear footprints in the deep snow surrounding the car, suggesting she didn't just wander into the woods. However, it's worth noting the scene could have been disturbed by passing traffic and snowplows. It was as if she had simply vanished. So, what are the leading ideas here? For more than 2 decades, 3 main theories have dominated the discussion. First, the idea that she disappeared on purpose. Did Maura, overwhelmed by everything going on, just decide to walk away and start a new life? The lie to her professors, the packed bag, and the cash withdrawal all seem to point to a planned exit. But what she left behind challenges this. Why leave her car and textbooks? And more importantly, she has never touched her bank accounts or contacted a single family member in all these years. Her family is adamant she would never have abandoned them. The second theory is that she succumbed to the elements. Could a disoriented and possibly intoxicated Maura have wandered into the dense woods, gotten lost, and died of exposure? The New Hampshire winter is unforgiving, but massive searches, both right after the crash and in the years since, have turned up absolutely nothing. No clothing, no remains, no trace of her at all. Search dogs brought to the scene lost her scent right on the road, suggesting she likely left the area in a vehicle, not on foot. This leads to the third and most widely held theory: foul play. Her family and many others believe Maura was abducted. In that tiny window of time between Butch Atwood leaving and the police arriving, someone else could have stopped on that dark road. Maura, stranded and desperate, might have accepted a ride from the wrong person. Her sister Julie has said, "The fact her body has never been found leads me to believe she took a ride with someone from the scene of the crash and was met with foul play." This explains the lack of footprints and how quickly she disappeared, but it offers no clues as to who might have taken her. Police have never named a credible suspect. The search for Maura Murray has never stopped. Her case became one of the first great mysteries of the social media age, inspiring countless discussions, documentaries, and podcasts. Her family, now led by her sister Julie, continues to be a powerful voice for Maura. They run the official family website and a podcast called Media Pressure to share accurate information and keep the focus on finding her. The case of Maura Murray sticks with us because every clue just seems to lead to another question. Why the fake email? Where was she really going? Who, if anyone, was on that road with her? Was she running from her life? Or did she tragically run into the person who ended it for her? Over 20 years later, the girl who drove north into the mountains is frozen in time, forever 21. Her family waits, the public speculates, and the cold, dark woods of New Hampshire hold on to their secrets. The only thing we know for sure is that on a frigid February night, a young woman disappeared, leaving behind a locked car, a heartbroken family, and a peculiar mystery that continues to haunt us all. The New Hampshire State Police Cold Case Unit considers it an active and suspicious missing persons case, and anyone with information is urged to come forward. Perhaps one day, a single tip will finally answer the question, what happened to Maura Murray?